This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning. Welcome to Racing Across America on this Saturday morning. I'm Seth Merrow. We'll jump right into it because, again, it's an early post time at Aqueduct, and so we'll abbreviate, but we'll go probably a little bit longer than we have the last couple of weeks because we have a couple of guests and one taped yesterday that we'll kick off with. But a little bit later on the show, we'll be joined by Ellis Star, national racing analyst from Equibase. He is participating in a fun little charity event this weekend, and he'll talk a little bit about that. But we'll also take a look at a couple of the Del Mar Stakes on this Turf Festival weekend out in Southern California, and we'll do that with Ellis a little bit later on. But we're going to start out with Terry Finley, president and CEO of West Point Thoroughbreds. They have two-year-olds in both two-year-old stakes at Churchill today, the Goldenrod and the Kentucky Jockey Club, and Decorated Invader out on the West Coast in the Hollywood Derby, as well as a runner in the Seabiscuit as well out there at Del Mar. So lots of great action and discussion coming up, and why don't we kick it right off? We taped Terry yesterday. Ellis will join us live in a little bit, but we caught up with Terry yesterday for some discussion again on some of the stakes races across the country and much, much more. Terry Finley from West Point Thoroughbreds up next. There's lots of great stakes action on Saturday and coast to coast, so I thought we'll talk a little racing action and stakes and toss in some specific horses. Why not? West Point. Some Churchill Stakes runners, some Del Mar Stakes runners, and so I reached out to West Point President CEO Terry Finley. Terry, good morning.
Absolutely, Seth. Great to be with you.
Yeah,
great to talk about the racing business on a great weekend.
Happy to have you on board to, as I say, hit on some of the nice stakes action that we have coming up over the next few days. First, I'll check in. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was awesome. Awesome. I just had a baby, a grandson who's 18 months old, so he's really starting to get it. And we have a granddaughter on the way. So, life is good. Life is good.
Absolutely. It's different for everybody, but there are still the bright spots. And so congratulations on all of that. Let's see if we can get some bright spots for you guys racing on Saturday. We've got, as I say, some Churchill and some Del Mar to talk about. And let's start things out by going to the Kentucky Jockey Club. Always a prominent two-year-old race on the calendar. You get to this time of year and you're looking at the two-year-olds and what they have as potential as we turn the page in a little over a month or so and they become three-year-olds. And you have Arabian Prince entered in the Kentucky Jockey Club. We are going to go back. I'm going to pull up the debut win, which was back on September 2nd. And Arabian Prince is going to be the number 5 horse here. Subsequently ran fourth in the Street Sense at Churchill behind King Fury, who was also in on Saturday. But again, this debut effort was a very good-looking run. One debut effort, so 1 win, 1 start, and then, as I say, followed up in the Street Sense to get some stakes education. But I'm curious, talk about this debut effort, and also talk about the fact that it was an off-the-turf event. So is there turf in his future, potentially?
Well, I think there could be, Seth, and he had worked well throughout a better part of the summer, and then he kind of hit a plateau. And so I remember Dallas calling me. He said, he's gotten outworked a couple times, and I think we probably need to go to the turf. I have him fit enough, but he's probably going to get outrun going 3/4 or 7/8. And and they took it off the turf, and they went a mile, and he just kind of put everything together. So it just goes to show you, right? They can get outworked in the morning, and they can be average in the morning, and then in the afternoon the light goes on. So we were very happy, but a little surprised, after seeing a very good first start. I thought he ran well in the streak sense. They just kind of they set a fairly solid pace, and then they didn't come back. But I do know he was trying, but they really came home fast, and I think we're set up to run well and to really give us a shot to get started on a 3-year-old year in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, the street sense, that debut effort we looked at was the 1-turn mile down at Churchill. The street sense, he stretched out to 2 turns for the first time. And it's always ambitious, second start of the career, to drop into stakes company. Do you feel, you and Dallas feel that he came out of that? I always, as a handicapper, think when you make a move like that, they gain a lot of experience. The 2 turns and the stakes experience, and they'll probably come out a little better in the next start.
Well, I think so, Seth. And one thing we talk about with 2-year-olds, there are a lot of cases where you look back and they win their first start, and you say, I wish they would have run, second or third, right? We all try to win every time, but the fact that they do win takes away some of your options. And I think the biggest option, or the biggest thing it does, is it takes away the opportunity to run 2 or 3 times and to gain that experience. So you basically, oftentimes you're forced to jump into the deeper waters. But he's sound. He's a big, strong. I love the pedigree, Masawish. I think I said that name right. But we bought him as a yearling up at Saratoga, and I think he's got a really good future. But experience is key now. So that's the balance. You got to get them experience, but you can't throw them into the deep end time after time. But we think this is a good spot. Got some horses coming back from the Breeders' Cup, so it's a great card. It's a really great card today. Churchill, what they record entries, and I read a story about all the Grade 1 winners come out of a day like this in the past. I don't know, they've had it 6 or 7 years, so I think it's a great concept. The stars of tomorrow. So I hope we're one of those. Yeah, and I have said for a while now that I think going back even to that September meet, the 2-year-olds down at Churchill in the fall just seem to turn into nice 3-year-olds. And so it never hurts also to have a few nice runs over the Churchill Strip as the page turns from 2-year-olds to 3-year-olds. So wish you a lot of luck in the Kentucky Jockey Club. You also have a filly in the Goldenrod on Saturday afternoon, Lady Traveler. And for Lady Traveler, we're going to go back and watch her in the Rags to Riches last time. She's going to finish a good second to Coach. Coach also in the Goldenrod on Saturday afternoon. Coach is going to be the number 8. Lady Traveler is going to be the number 5 in the very recognizable West Point silks you can see there. Third start of the career, debuted at Churchill back in September and ran a close-up third, won the next start to break the maiden, and now this stakes performance here, a good second-place finish to Coach. How'd she come out of this? And again, it was her first time around 2 turns and her first try in stakes company, so how are you anticipating her to maybe move forward on Saturday? Yes, I thought it was a very good effort. Looking at it again, I thought we were going by at the 8th pole. We were just second best. There are a lot of times owners and trainers, they make all kinds of excuses. I don't hear enough that we were just second best, and that day we were. Ironically, I got a call from Dale Romans the other day, and I heard it in his voice. I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Well, I got to tell you, I got to talk to you." So Jake Romans is Joe Talamo's agent, and they spun us for Coach. I understand because Brad Cox is going to the fairgrounds in Oakland, but I just thought it was ironic to get spun by a jock's agent who's the son of your trainer. But we're in with a shot tomorrow. It's a really good field, and there again, I hope it just sets us up into a great spot, to get our year rolling in 2021. And she's a quality road. She's a half to a Grade 1 winner, and so she might be a better on the turf, but she's run bang up 3 times. So, the fact that we've got a couple starts over the Churchill Strip obviously have us, dreams are still alive until they're not in owning and in the thoroughbred business. So I think she's one that really has us dreaming a good bit now.
Yeah, I mean, everybody seems to be maybe chasing Simply Ravishing, the McPeak runner, on the numbers, but being lightly raced, there's clearly still some upside potential. And I will say, for me, as a handicapper, I love Corey Lannery down at Churchill. I mean, Gaffleone has certainly come into his own over the past year or so, but Corey Lannery rides Churchill as well as anybody.
Yeah, those guys, it's a good group. I mean, you look around the country, that overall, the top riders these days, I love the fact that the vast majority of the top riders, they don't make mistakes. So, say the top 20 or 30 across the way, if you get one of those to ride your horses, you're confident that if you don't get the job done, you're probably not best on that particular day. And, as owners and trainers, that's a good feeling, because it's always about the horse. It always comes down to the horse. Obviously, jocks, there are times they'll make mistakes or they'll outwit each other. But I'd say 95% of the time, it's about the horse. So, we think we're in with a shot with quite a few today across the country.
Yeah, we wish you a lot of luck at Churchill on Saturday, because it's always fun with the 2-year-olds. As they say, in about a month, a little over a month, the page turns and they all become 3, and then it really becomes exciting. And speaking of 3-year-olds, you have one of the top 3-year-old turfers in the country this year, Decorated Invader. He will be going on Saturday afternoon out at Del Mar. Their turf festival includes the Hollywood Derby, a Grade 1 event. I'm going to pull up a race. Maybe tough for you to watch again, the Hill Prince from October 18th, because he makes a great late run, but Get Smokin' just had it all his own way on the front end. Get Smokin', the number 1 here in the lead. But boy, Decorated Invader just gives it his all. And here you think he's not going to get there. He doesn't have a chance. And he just misses in here. Yeah. How'd he come out of the Hill Prince? How's he going into the Hollywood Derby?
Well, it's ironic. I didn't think he'd get there. I didn't think he'd get as close as he ended up. But, we won the Hill Prince in 2014 with a good colt with Grand Motion Ring Weekend. And we probably should have been taken down that day. We got lucky. It was a 50-50. It was a bang-bang call right at the wire. So I guess the Derby gods, I guess the racing gods, they all even things out, right? Because we come back 6 years later and we just get nipped. But, I thought it was a good effort. Jock said he clipped heels at the 3/8 pole a little bit, probably cost him 2 or 3 strides. But, Tommy Bush's horse, you got to give credit to that little horse. He's run hard all year long. We beat him in Florida, and he ran well, and probably too well to get beat up at Saratoga at the beginning of the meet when we beat him. But, I like when that happens, and I'm a big fan about Tommy Bush. And, Got Stormy is a cool little horse. I think he's probably going to help us at Del Mar tonight, but, I'm always in the back of my head. He might go to the front and keep going. We might be, in a position where we'll be second best again. But, it's a great race. You look from top to bottom. There are a few throwouts, and, all the big guns from the East Coast, they got on the plane and they went out. So I think the whole world will be watching, whatever it is. It's the 8th race at Del Mar. But they're the kind that you really want to try to participate in, and I just hope we get a little lucky. And if we do, we'd certainly take a Grade 1 win. It's a tough thing to be a Grade 1 winner. And Decorated Invader was a Grade 1 winner as a 2-year-old up at Woodbine. So it'd be great to come back as a 3-year-old, and then again, we would think that would set us up very well for our 4-year-old year, because all these horses, with their pedigrees and the fact that they're getting bigger and stronger, I think we're going to have a great group of 4-year-olds across the country that run long on the turf in 2021.
Yeah, I love this subdivision of 3-year-olds on the turf. I think during the year there are a lot of great races across the country, and this kind of puts the exclamation point on the season. As you alluded, it is a loaded field with Get Smokin' back in there. Gufo comes west, domestic spending for Chad and Klarovich. It's going to be a lot of fun. Wish you a lot of luck. He has Decorated Invader. Again, for us up here, the Hall of Fame up at Saratoga won that one, so very easy for us to recognize the talent of that one, and hopefully a nice result for you guys on Saturday afternoon. Also out at Del Mar, you are partners in My Boy Jack, who hasn't been seen since October of last year, but set to go in the Seabiscuit for Keith DeSormo. What are the reports for My Boy Jack coming into the seasonal debut on the big card on Saturday?
So it took us a while to get here. We know that, and I think back. I watched that Derby on the last month, and he had such a tough trip. Only got beat 4, 5, 6 lengths, and was stopped to a walk. So in the middle of the turn. So I just shake my head. This poor horse, he really hasn't had a whole lot of luck since the Kentucky Derby. But I think he's putting things together, and we're going to get this party started out there. Will be a long shot, but I would expect him to come run in the last part of it. I just hope he gallops out. But Keith's, I've grown. I didn't really know him before we bought into this horse, but really a cool dude, and obviously knows his way around training racehorses. So I think this could be the start of a good and fun and exciting journey for 2021 on the part of My Boy Jack. I took a look at that Derby field from 2 years ago. And a lot of his peers are either retired or they're in the stallion barn. So, the fact that he can come back, really brings a lot of excitement to the partnership, and a couple of really good partners. And, obviously, as we've seen at the sales and also buying horses off the racetrack, more and more people are, partnering up. The 10 years ago, you wouldn't have seen these kind of partnerships. So I think it's really good. I really do. I think it's really good. And everybody knows in the ownership side, it's about numbers, right? You have to keep firing and you have to keep buying horses. And, I think this is a perfect way for people to continue to do joint ventures and to try to get the big one, right? Because that's what we're all trying to do, is to get the big one.
Well, you guys always at West Point have participants on the big days, and that has to make it a lot of fun for all the partners. So congratulations on the success you've had so far. And you led me into, I have a few more questions, just kind of more industry related before we wrap up, and you kind of led me into it, talking about partnerships and going to the sales and whatnot. The 2-year-olds we talked about at Churchill, as you mentioned, one of them bought at Saratoga last year, the other bought at Keeneland last year. And I'm just curious, I haven't talked to you, we had you on during the Saratoga season, so we haven't talked since then. I'm just curious, the fall auction season, were you participants? And the 2 sales at Saratoga, the Open and the New York bred that were moved to September in Kentucky. Were you there? Were you over at Keeneland? How did the auction season work out?
Yeah, we were. I think we ended up with 18 yearlings. So especially on the New York bred side, it's tough to buy up at Saratoga. You got people that are having a great time at the meet. And they enjoy a fun day at the races, and everybody walks over to the auction ring over to Phasing, and they buy horses, they spend money. So I think the dynamic changed. So from a buying side, especially in the New York bred portion of the Phasing sale, I thought we got some really good buys. I would think, I think overall, the yearling prices were down about 25% on average, but it was still tough to buy the ones that people really locked on to. But always tough to buy a good horse. That really doesn't say anything. It was a tough year to buy a horse. Like there's a lot of money in the world, and our game is such an amazing game, and it draws. And once you get the sense and the electricity of a winner and a good horse in your midst, you just want to keep going back and back. So I don't ever see that changing. I really don't. It's like people want to play this game, and they want to play it at a high level, for the most part. And as a result, whenever we're together as a seller, those sellers are going to get rewarded when they bring something to market that a lot of people want. But it's a tough game, right? You can't outmoney this game. A lot of people have tried. Our philosophy has been just to stay regimented and to stay disciplined and to stay at it. And look, I know our model, we're constantly trying to evaluate it, but we're very proud. Our team is very proud. We've got a great team. And, we're very proud of the fact that we've stayed at what we're going on our 30th year. And I'll stay at it, and our team will, until they either kick us out or they carry us out of the racetrack. So we'll be here as long as possible.
I like that. I didn't realize it was that long. Geez, congratulations on that. In this game, that's great too. And you guys are playing at the highest level. So it's been fun to watch. I always say when I'm in here handicapping during the afternoon, I point out your horses because I know a lot of locals are involved. You guys are locally based. It's always fun to root for the locals. Also wanted to touch on, you and I were talking before we went on the air, and I know you're a proponent of the Horse Racing Safety and Integrity Act, which has had some forward progress, certainly, over the past couple of months. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, to think a year ago we'd be at this point, which, I think realistically we could say we're at the 10-yard line. We've had really diverse support for the effort, especially over the last couple months, as people have seen that we need to do something about integrity and our integrity in the business, and also safety. So I think the fact that we've been able to come together and to compromise and to bring safety and integrity together, we're at a good spot. And I'd like to, all the stuff behind us and all the years that we've kind of gone back and forth and we just didn't see eye to eye. The real players in the industry, the real players, are at the table now, and the cooperation is there and the compromise is there. And I think it's going to be a big help to us. Obviously we know the indictments that came at the beginning of the year, right? They were kind of overridden by the virus that we're dealing with and the pandemic that all of us are impacted by. But, they're coming back. And, we think, and, the word is that there should be more, but, we got to take our medicine. And I think we're set up, if we get this thing enacted into law, I think it's going to be great for our business because, look, all people want is they want a shot to play fair and to have a level playing field. It's a cliche, but just give us a shot. And we always want like the best horse on that particular day to walk into the winner's circle. So we know for quite a while, right? That hasn't always been the case in every race, and that's all we want. We want we want to walk out of the racetrack saying we were just not the best, as opposed to that pit in our stomach. And I think at the very core, I think the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Act, it gives owners a chance to get rid of that pit in our stomach as we walk out of the track. And that's a really good thing. And also the bettors. When you lose a big ticket and you have that pit in your stomach that, that just didn't seem right. Well, we're addressing that. And I think it's really going to be a big help to everybody. And I appreciate all the effort of all the organizations and all the individuals that had an impact on this, that really have coalesced around a great effort. And I think we're set up for great things as we go forward.
Yeah, the Horse Racing Safety and Integrity Act, again, it's made leaps of progress over the past couple of months, so we'll keep our eyes on that, certainly, and what happens down in Washington. And one more thing before I let you go, because I opened my email this morning, and there was the 2020 annual appeal from both you, Terry Finley, and Ramon Dominguez on the board of directors at the New York Racetrack Chaplaincy. Of course, our friend Humberto Chavez running the chaplaincy does a great job down there, along with Nick and the rest of the group. And it's one of those that I chunk out a donation to a few times a year, because it is really important to the racetrack community and the backstretch. Just give us your thoughts here as the holiday giving season is underway, and for folks to maybe think about the New York Racetrack Chaplaincy.
Well, I just ask people to go to the website and to look at the great work that the team has done in the chaplaincy's area in New York, and it's from soup to nuts. Taking care of their health, the people that got the coronavirus, which probably we were the best across the country, knock on wood. But we're still dealing with coronavirus on the backside. There are about 1,100 people that work on the backside of Belmont every day, of which about 600 live. So, look, I could really go on for a long time. I've developed, such a respect and an admiration for a chaplain and his staff. But, I can assure people every dollar that they donate will be put to very effective use. And, that's one thing I said to Chaplain. I had the honor of being named chairman. And I said, I want to be able to look people in the eye and say, your dollars are being put to use effectively and in a smart way. And I can do that. I can look anybody in the eye. But the work that they're doing is just, it takes your heart and your breath away. It really does. The impact that they're having on lives and on families. I just, one of the most incredible things I've ever been involved in. And I'll be an advocate, for a long, long time for the New York, the chaplaincy and the good work that they do to take care of the people that take care of our horses.
Yeah, well put. The website is rtcany.org. If you type into Google Racetrack Chaplaincy of New York, you'll get it, and you can donate there as well. Keep that in mind. A lot of great charities in the racing game, but that's one that folks should think about during the holiday season. As far as the website for West Point Thoroughbreds, westpointtv.com. I've said to you many times, you have one of the better racing websites for folks that are obviously partners, but for folks who are just fans. You can go and kind of follow the West Point horses. And you had a naming contest as well. I guess it is closed on making a name, but folks will be able to look at what the top 10 of the names and vote on the name. Nyquist out of Sea Garden. I'm anxious to see what the top 10 are.
Well, actually, that Stallion boy, he's really come out of the box well, so we're excited. And it really is cool to see the thought and the effort that goes into naming horses for people. Some they don't even look at their pedigrees. Others are really they're deep into the pedigrees, but it comes from all sides. But I will tell you, Seth, I know we're all optimists in the game because we have to be, right? You have to be an optimist because it's a tough darn game. But we have a lot of really good things going on in our industry and a lot of momentum. And I'm so proud of the entire industry and the people and the organizations, the way we've dealt with an incredibly tough year, right? And obviously the human race has been dealt a tough year, but I just think we're set up for a really exciting and fun and a 2021 filled with growth and hope and optimism. And I'm going to play my part. I know our team is, and our partners are going to try to. I just ask everybody else, like, we can do this and enjoy our game, and our game can get bigger and stronger. But it takes every one of us to do our part every single day. And I know if we do that, when we come back and we talk at the end of 2020, we're going to look back and say, man, we really did a good job. And then everybody be ready for 2022. So there you have it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've said any number of times over the past few months, you look at the other major sports, they're going, but I certainly think horse racing has done just a phenomenal job going back to March and through now the end of the year of handling this tough situation. But again, we're knocking and looking for a more normal 2021 and beyond, and certainly wishing you guys the best of luck going forward, but certainly a lot of luck on Saturday, and we appreciate you going over some of your stakes action on Saturday, both at Churchill and Del Mar. Terry, always a lot of fun to talk to you. Appreciate the time, and we'll talk again.
Absolutely. Keep up the great work. Honored to be with you, Seth. Really is.
Terry Finley, Chairman, CEO, and President of West Point Thoroughbreds. They have some nice stakes runners coming up on Saturday afternoon. And again, thanks to Terry Finley. Always appreciate his time, President and CEO of West Point Thoroughbreds. And as I say, they're now locally based up in Saratoga, have been for a while now. And that means they also they have partners all across the country, and they race all across the country, but there are some local folks involved as well, so always fun to root for them. So great luck to them this afternoon. In the two-year-old stakes at Churchill, Decorated Invader out in the Hollywood Derby, and my boy Jack in the Seabiscuit. And we'll talk a little Seabiscuit in a few minutes with Ellis Star, who has joined us now. Ellis Star, the national racing analyst for Equibase, and we're going to talk some horse racing, but also he's part of a little charity event this weekend that we wanted to catch up on. Ellis, good morning.
Hello, Seth.
Happy to have you on board to talk a little bit, as I say, racing and the Gamble for Grayson Charity Challenge. And you're participating this weekend over the next couple of days, focused on some of the stakes action out at Del Mar. Fill us in.
Well, it's a lot of fun. This is the Gamble for Grayson Charity Challenge, as you said, benefiting the Grayson Jockey Club Research Foundation, which gives away $1 million grants to help our equine athletes every year to colleges and universities and lots of programs around the country. And, you know, it's just fun. It's been challenging, of course, for everybody this year, particularly for these charities. And, you know, we were pleased. I was very pleased. During Breeders' Cup weekend, we had another one, which is the first one I've really done that was like this with live betting with myself, Dan Jordanman, and Ren Carruthers. And there were 3 teams, and we had $2,000 to bet with in the 14 Breeders' Cup races over the 2 days. And we ended up turning into $5,200, and that went to the Jockey Club Safety Net Foundation, which is so important right now for people that are having trouble making ends meet. And this is just as important. And this is very cool. This is going to be myself and Christina Blacker for Team Equibase. And we're facing off against the Little Red Feather team. People probably know Little Red Feather around the country. And their managing partner, Gary Fenton, and ESPN's Kenny Mayne. So we've got some good talent here. We have $100 to bet on each of the 5 turf stakes today and tomorrow. The Jimmy Durante, the Seabiscuit, the Hollywood Derby today, the Cecil B. DeMille, and the Matriarch tomorrow. And there's a lot of pride on the line, as well as trying to make money for charity.
Yeah, I was telling you before we went on, we have bankrolls every once in a while where I'll get some money to play on behalf of patrons, and it's just got to be your day. And if things are your day, you can knock it out of the park. It sounds like you had a couple of good days for the Breeders' Cup, so hopefully it follows up for this Turf Festival weekend, and it should be a lot of fun. If people want to follow along, will you be posting your plays on your Twitter account at UberCapper?
My Twitter account, UberCapper, at Grayson JC, which will also be linked. I think our friend Steve Bick just tweeted something out, and we'll be trying to put up our plays. Christina and I are doing these separately, so we'll try and post them. I'm sure the accounts will do it, but if you follow me at UberCapper or Christina, I'm sure you'll see them, and we'll be back and forth linking to them. As soon as scratches are done, I'm pretty sure we'll post them. And then, of course, hopefully have some nice pictures, some big tickets with some big bucks. We'll see. Both these races have 13 horses. So I believe, or one has 13, one has 12. I believe the opportunity is there if we are right.
Yeah, very good. And wishing you a lot of luck. Always good this time of year to help out the charities. We were talking with Terry Finley about the racetrack chaplaincy. The Grayson with the Jockey Club does a lot of great work for the industry as well. So we wish you a lot of luck. Put some money in the bank, baby. Make it work over the next couple of days. We'll be rooting for you. Why don't we get some opinions on some of those stakes races coming up at Del Mar this weekend? Nice Turf Festival weekend, holiday weekend. So nice racing across the country, but that always includes, or has for the last couple of years anyway, the Del Mar Turf Festival. Let's take a look first at the Jimmy Durante for 2-year-old fillies, Grade 3 event, mile on the grass. And Fluffy Socks, obviously Chad Brown, and coming off a good close-up second at Belmont last time, the win in the Salima, 2 starts back. Fluffy Socks will take a lot of action. I thought Javanica for Owen Hardy was interesting, coming out of the close second at Woodbine last time. Bay Storm is interesting for Jonathan Thomas. Plum Sexy for Doug O'Neill. was kind of tilting in that direction first. I wound up with Pizzazz, though, as a horse that I pulled up the replay for. Very interesting to me. We're going to look at the maiden special win, number 7, Pizzazz, under Mike Smith. And as I say, I think Fluffy Socks is going to take a lot of action, but I just like this race we're looking at here for Pizzazz is over the course, which I think is going to count for something. Mike Smith sticks on board this afternoon. So I found Pizzazz interesting. What were your thoughts on the Durante?
Let's start by saying, first of all, Christina and I discussed our strategies last night and what we're probably going to bet, and we're not crossing over, which is good. She loves Pizzazz here, and I love Javanica. So both are good bets. Javanica and Pizzazz both open at 6-1 because we know Fluffy Socks from Chad Brown opening at 5-2 is going to take money and go lower than that. I made the race Javanica and Fluffy Socks as the top 2, but I don't think it's a horse I could toss out. So Javanica certainly is a horse I like. Woodbine Shipper was a Woodbine Shipper the other day. They ran third, Say the Word, came on strongly yesterday in one of the stakes. And this one is a Godolphin homebred who that second race at Woodbine, the first turf route, was just strong. And it ran even better at 7 furlongs on the all-weather. In case people don't know, this is, I was looking at, can get a mile. Yes, she already did. But how good is she? She's a half-sister to Antoinette. And I'm sure personally people in New York know that. Antoinette, who ran second to the Saratoga and Belmont Oaks, a very good horse. Antoinette's the 3-year-old daughter of Sharuk. This is the 2-year-old at Medaglia d'Oro, and she could be all world. I think she's going to stay at decent price, about 4 or 5 to 1, so that's the value. Fluffy Socks, very tough. She ran very well. You can make a case for a bunch more. Plum Sexy, as you said. Pizzazz, I have no problem with. Baystorm, I have no problem with. My play is going to be pretty much personally as well as for this contest. I'm going to play trifectas, and I'm going to put Javanica and Fluffy Socks in first and second with everybody in third, and then reverse that in the second and third legs, and Javanica and Fluffy Socks first and third, everybody in second. There's going to be a bunch of horses here at 15 to 30 to 1 or more. That could really blow it up. So a couple dollar trifectas for the charity here, and maybe some exactas of those two over the rest to cover it, because when you're playing the contest, you want to try and not lose the $100. You want to at least walk out with 100 because that's the money that's the baseline for the charities. That's what I'm going to be doing in the Jimmy Durante.
Sounds good. Let's turn the page and go a couple of races later to the Seabiscuit. I talked earlier with Terry Finley. They have my boy Jack in here off the long layoff. We'll see what that one can do off of the layoff. But I'm going to take a look at, I pulled up the replay from Blitzkrieg, going back to the American a little earlier this year. That was at Santa Anita. It was at a mile. Blitzkrieg is going to be the number 4 horse in here. And I know it was your Equibase play of the week. And so I pulled up and looked, and I know you liked Blitzkrieg, so I did want to take a look again at this race going back to June. Since then, a 4th, a 6th, and a 4th place finish most recently. I think that is going to lead to the 10 to 1 morning line pretty much holding up in here. One Bad Boy is interesting, coming off the recent stakes victory over at Santa Anita. Next Shares is a horse that I always find a little bit intriguing. Fun race, but as I say, it looks like you're going to take a little pop with Blitzkrieg.
This is a really interesting race. Brown's got a pair. Phil D'Amato's got a pair. Richard Baltus has a pair. And Baltus's pair consists of Next Shares, the deep closer, who won this race last year 27 to 1, and One Bad Boy. Now, you talk about One Bad Boy. He's got the 10 post. Mile 16th, it starts in the chute. It's not as bad for that post, but he needs the lead. And people looking at Blitzkrieg, this was my take on the analysis you talked about, which is available at Equibase.com and also americasbestracing.net. He wired the field in the American in June at Santa Anita. And people would think they're going to get into a duel and eliminate them both. I don't think so. I think One Bad Boy goes. I looked at Blitzkrieg races before he went to Maidan for the winter. When he won the San Francisco Mile at Golden Gate last April 2019, he came from off the pace. And he doesn't wear blinkers. And I don't think he's going to need the lead. And Cedillo's going to be smart enough to take him. And he's got tremendous speed. I mean, in the Tourist Mile, which is won by Flavius, he went on the lead 6 furlongs in 107 and 4/5. I mean, that's just ridiculous. He doesn't have to go that fast. And he's going to be sitting in the catbird seat, hopefully, and we'll get everybody 10 to 1. I'm trying to remember who Christina liked. I think she liked Spirit Animal, who I do give a bit to. I think Flavius is legit. I liked him a lot in the Shadwell when he came back off that win, and he got into traffic trouble. It wasn't that horrible, but I watched the video. He was blocked a little bit, and Ivar, he was really informed that day, and I liked Ivar on top in my analysis for the race of the week that week. A long shot to look at is the 4 Imperador. And speaking of Ivar, Imperador and Ivar are trained by Paulo Lobo, who used to be based in Southern Cal. And mostly he trains at the training center in Lexington now and starts all over the country. And Imperador is a horse that won a Group 1, a mile and a quarter. He also won a Group 1 at a mile. Really good horse in Argentina. And then he came here and he had a prep at Churchill in the numbers of 3. And he stalked in second, made the lead, and got beat a half at the end, and was very game in holding it. He's 15 to 1. This is another Ivar possibility for me, so I'm going to use him in the contest and also my real plays. So I've got a 10 to 1 Blitzkrieg and a 15 to 1 Imperador, and then the favorite Flavius. Probably for exotics, I think my plan's going to be. And then one more. Number 2, Camino del Paraiso, who's also 15 to 1. First lost to Jockey, third, second, first, second. Consistent as can be. He's just about this level. He was second in the Grade 3 Thunder Road, third in this year's San Francisco. Very consistent. I can't resist the odds. So I'm playing a try here because we got money to play with. I'm playing 2, 4, 7, 12. Camino del Paraiso, Imperador, Blitzkrieg, Flavius. First and second with everybody in third. And look, if I get those 2 15 to 1s, it's going to be a $1,000 try for the charity, which I'm looking forward to. I'm definitely betting Blitzkrieg to win. I'm hoping that he runs away. But you could make lots of cases here. Next shares could get up from last once again at a big price. One bad boy could steal the race if nobody goes with him. There's lots of ways. Another Twist of Fate opens at 4 to 1. He's the second choice, who is a real good horse, as we remember last year, winning the Lexington. Lousy in the Preakness. Took a year and a half off and won the Long Acres Mile. He's running on turf for the first time, but he's run well on all weather, and he's a scat daddy. He's under bet at 4, but I think people got to use him as well.
Yeah, the Flavius and Spirit Animal, the 2 Chads you were referring to, just with Chad Brown, they're going to take some action. Certainly a fun race on a fun card of multiple stakes races. And Ellis wanted to have you on to talk a little bit about not just the Del Mar Stakes, but to promo the charity event as well, which will be a lot of fun. Again, you can follow Ellis at UberCapper on Twitter, and we'll be rooting for you, Ellis. Knock 'em dead.
Thanks very much. Have a great day, everybody.
Same to you. Ellis Star, National Racing Analyst at Equibase. We appreciate the visit on this Saturday morning, and we will now wrap it up. We'll go a little early. As I said, there's an early post time at Aqueduct today. So, again, they're already underway, it looks like, with the pregame show. So we'll send you there to get some ideas for Aqueduct for the remainder of the day. Don't forget, mandatory pay on the Rainbow today at Gulfstream Park West. It comes up next week, next Saturday, at Aqueduct in the Empire 6, but it's today at Gulfstream Park West. I'll be back in later this afternoon. We'll probably kick things off a little later than usual today because we're going to go a little later with our bankroll kind of into some of that Del Mar card. We'll go from 2 to 6:30 or 7 maybe with our bankroll. Team's been selected, but tune in this afternoon and see what some of the plays are. Maybe that'll give you some ideas. Should be a lot of fun. We'll have the $300 live bankroll this afternoon here on OTB TV. And also do want to remind you that tomorrow is NFL Sunday here at the Clubhouse Racebook. Watch all the racing action and all the football action every Sunday throughout the NFL season right here, Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue in Albany. All right, I'm going to step away and wrap it up. As I say, they're underway with the pregame show at Aqueduct, so let's get some ideas for racing in New York. And again, they have an early 11:50 post time today, so we'll be underway in about an hour. And then I will kick in, as I say, a little bit later this afternoon, maybe jump in 1:30 or so, and then we'll have the bankroll kicking off at about 2 o'clock. So stay tuned. We'll see you in a few. Thanks for tuning in.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.